Alright guys, we're back. It's been a little while, but today we're going to be talking about women in Battlefield 5. Oh god, why did I get wrapped into doing this? Okay, so there's a lot we got to unpack with this one. For those of you who have not heard or seen, Battlefield 5's reveal trailer and the reveal event have been released, and we've been talking about the game and learning a lot about what it is. It is a World War II game, focusing on resistance kind of stuff in occupied countries, where they've added customization to your characters and they've taken away the premium pass. No more DLCs, all just free maps and customization of the characters. No more loot boxes, which is definitely really cool. But part of that involves character customization, and they've allowed you to do a lot with your character. Face paints and gender and race customization, and people are complaining for a few reasons. One being, that in their version of World War II, their band of brothers, Saving Private Ryan version of World War II, there was no women, just a bunch of white men storming the beaches of Normandy. And I can understand some of the criticisms, because when you want to play a World War II game or historical game that prides itself on authenticity, you want it to fit into your narrative, the whatever you imagine that war to have been. The problem stems with there were women in World War II, and there were black people, and there were resistance fighters, and there were Native Americans, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like, because they were there, the game should be allowed to have it without scrutiny, right? So we're going to kind of dissect a couple of the main arguments and talk about it. I'm going to kind of give my opinion towards the end, because first we're just going to be looking not really so much opinionation, but more just solid facts about things. So let's get right into this. Let's do it. Alright, so first thing is, people want this game to be Band of Brothers, US, storming the beaches of Normandy, that kind of stuff. That's not what this game is, though. They've said that they're going to keep doing DLC, and that the DLC will focus on other things. And the first DLC coming in December or November or whatever, later this year, is actually going to be about the German front, which, that's cool. But the game, the war stories and the campaign, the locations and the multiplayer, it's not focusing on the European front. It's not focusing on Band of Brothers, Saving Private Ryan, Call of Duty World War II stuff, right? This game is focusing on the resistance fighters in the occupied countries. You're going to go to Africa and Norway and all this stuff. And in the main campaign, the main war stories mode, there is a Norwegian resistance fighter. She's a female. She actually existed. She's a real person. And she's going to be represented in this game. The team at DICE wanted to explore a different side of World War II that doesn't get explored in games or movies all the time. So that's why they chose to do this resistance, focus on the game in these occupied countries that are going to have, they're not going to have standard military gear, or, they're not, always going to have the luxury of saying, no, the women don't get to fight, stuff like that. There were a lot of women who were support roles or spy roles, like in France or in the UK, but in a lot of these other countries, they had to pick up guns. They had to actually fight, because that was the only option they had, So then that leads us to the argument of, okay, well, there was some, we could acknowledge that, but there wasn't that many, so it's going to ruin the immersion when we see a full lobby of 64 players and half of them are running around as girls, right? Okay, I can understand that, but you gotta take some concessions. I mean, player customization is a good thing. Being able to express yourself and play as the character you want, it's a good thing. Other Battlefield games haven't had it, and they've been criticized for it in the past. I mean, I remember the Battlefield 1 trailers, and people were mad about all sorts of things, and that there was black people in the game. Like, that was an actual thing that happened, and it's super weird don't really understand why people get that upset about the character's race or their gender, but it just, it's not a bad thing. Is it the most historically authentic experience having multiple women running around the battlefield in these occupied countries? Maybe not. Maybe there weren't as many as there will be online in the multiplayer, but it is the multiplayer. It's just supposed to be fun. Yes, there's an authentic bit of immersion to it, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's just stretching the imagination of things that were real. There were women fighters in World War II. And the moment we can all kind of accept that, the moment we can stop having this argument. And then lastly, of course, we get the select few people who are just mad because it's a woman, not because of any historical thing, and then those people, I just have to say, get over it. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Don't make your character a woman then. Don't play the campaign. Problem solved. If you really don't like seeing women that much, then stop playing video games, stop going outside. I mean, I can only imagine what you're like with women in real life, just saying. I know that that's only a very small minority of the people complaining, and I do not want to dismiss the actual criticisms people have about this game and try and lump them in with the people who are straight up just being misogynistic. I ran into a guy just yesterday on Twitter whose entire argument was that women don't belong on the battlefield. They belong in the kitchen making sandwiches, and people like that are few and far between. So this video is not at all to label everybody complaining or everybody having an opposing opinion, I should say, in with that crowd. I do think, though, that women in this game, it's not that big of a deal. There were women fighters, and so seeing them in this situation is not entirely unrealistic. A lot of the customization they used as well in the trailer was customization you would see in real life World War II. I mean, there's side-by-side pictures of the Native American with like the face paint and like an actual World War II soldier with the very same face paint. So a lot of it is authentic. It's not stereotypical what you imagine when you think of World War II, but they are going for a bit of a different World War II experience with this game. And I think that, we can kind of get over this and start actually talking about the game and how it plays and all that kind of stuff, because the setting is only one part of the experience. I know people really want their immersion. Battlefield is a very immersive game, and they do strive to be as authentic as they can, given, of course there's going to be some concessions to make gameplay better, but I don't think this is a bad thing. I mean, when Star Wars, for example, Battlefront 2 didn't have any customization, they said they wanted to provide the authentic experience, and people shot back like saying, no, we don't want, we don't care as much about that. We want, we want customization. I'd love a pink Darth Vader, that kind of stuff, and I know that's a bit different. Star Wars is fiction. World War II is a real event that really happened. It was a huge thing in our history, and so I can understand wanting to have a pure, authentic experience, and I'm just gonna say, DICE is giving that to us, with some concessions, of course, but nothing in the game is something that could not have happened in World War II. Yes, there were some female resistance fighters, yes, there was some frontline female soldiers, yes, there was face paint, yes, there was non-conventional gear, yes, there was militant civilian fighters in the war, and we see a lot of that in the trailer. Trailer's not gameplay though as well, so keep in mind that's showing off the extremes to try and get you hyped for the release of the game. Is it the best trailer? Oh, absolutely not. There's a fan edit I saw that makes the trailer way more interesting, and that's just it's different. Okay, it's different. I think we're gonna have to get used to it, but we'll see gameplay at the reveal next month. This trailer was not gameplay. This was all fake in-engine footage that they pull. This is not what the game is going to look like at all. So I just think we should wait a bit and see. The women in the game aren't a big deal. The prosthetic limbs, whatever, and the customization doesn't bother me. So I'm sort of excited for this game. It's going to be a bit different, and with a lot of the changes they're making to the mechanics, I am excited. I wasn't really a huge fan of Battlefield 1. At least not as much as I was of Battlefield 4. And while I personally am not too enthused about the World War II setting, I am very interested in what they're doing with this game, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Let me know what you guys think, though. I don't want to just sit here and talk your ear off, and I don't want to lecture you either. It seems weird having this conversation. I know a lot of my personal friends are going to disagree with me making this video, but I felt like it was kind of important to say. A lot of people are skipping over the fact that this game is about resistance fighters, and it's not about the frontline US versus Germany stuff, and it's interesting. I'm interested to see where they take this. The war stories, I wasn't really too interested with Battlefield 1 war stories, but seeing some World War II war stories about resistance fighters, man, that's gonna be pretty sick. So let's wait and see. Hopefully this game turns out good. Let me know what you guys think down below, though, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Hopefully I don't get flamed too hard for making this video. Stay classy, guys.